So today's video is going to be some whispered facts about Disney movies. This was requested by someone after my Disney World Facts video, and I thought it was a really good idea because I learn a lot from these facts videos, and I always like doing them about topics that I'm interested in. So I'm really curious about this one. So I have two websites with a lot of Disney movie facts on them. So let's just get into it. So I'm just going to read them to you off my phone. So, 101 Dalmatians, Peter Pan, Lady and the Tramp, and Mulan are among the only animated Disney films where both parents are present and don't die during the course of the movie. Pixar credits its success to going against Disney's standard narrative elements. No songs, no I want moments, no happy village, no love story, no villain. The words sung at the beginning of The Lion King are Zulu for "Here comes a lion, father," and "Oh yes, it's a lion." When it was released, The Lion King came under fire when people thought the word sex could be read in a puff of dust during one scene. Animators claimed that the dust actually spells SFX, which is a nod to the film's special effects team. A hyena biologist sued Disney for portraying hyenas as villains in The Lion King. The group ABBA was originally intended to do the music for The Lion King, but they weren't available, so Disney went with Elton John. I'm going to say this wrong. The Asante Sana Squash Banana song that Rafiki sings in The Lion King is an old nursery rhyme in Swahili. The creators of The Lion King have been accused of lifting elements from an anime series from the 1960s called Kimba the White Lion. The Beast's appearance in Beauty and the Beast is an amalgamation of several animals. It is said that he has the head of a buffalo, the brow of a gorilla, the body of a bear, the mane of a lion, the tusks of a boar, and the legs and tail of a wolf. Jackie Chan provided the speaking and singing voice for Beast in the Chinese version of Disney's Beauty and the Beast. Aladdin's appearance was almost based on Michael J. Fox, but was later changed and modeled after Tom Cruise. It's claimed that his movements were partially modeled after MC Hammer. Rapunzel and Flynn from Tangled can be seen in Frozen. The names of the main characters in Frozen sound out the name of the author of the original story the movie is based on. Hans Christoph Anna Sven is Hans Christian Andersen. Frozen is the first animated Disney film directed by a woman. Ursula from The Little Mermaid is said to be inspired by the drag queen Divine. It is believed that the movement of Ariel's hair while underwater was based on footage of the astronaut Sally Ride in Zero Gravity. Mickey Mouse, Goofy, and Donald Duck can all be seen making a brief cameo in The Little Mermaid. If the events of Finding Nemo actually happened and Nemo's mother and siblings got eaten, then Nemo's father would have developed female sex organs and bred with Nemo. Like, way to put a gross spin on a wonderful story. Finding Nemo harmed clownfish fish populations after people started buying tons of pet clownfish after seeing the movie. The character Lotso Huggin Bear was supposed to appear in Toy Story, but Pixar didn't have the technology to realistically animate his fur, so he didn't make his first appearance until Toy Story 3. Also, Andy didn't have a dad in Toy Story because human characters were expensive and difficult to animate. Joss Whedon co-wrote Toy Story. The character Rex the dinosaur was among his contributions to the film. It is claimed that Woody's full name is Woody Pride. It's never actually been mentioned in any of the movies. While Pixar was working on Toy Story 2, an employee accidentally ran a Unix command that deleted all the work they had done on the film. Luckily, one pregnant animator had a copy of the data on her home computer, so she could work on the movie while caring for her new baby. The Edinburgh Trader from Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest sank off the coast of North Carolina during Hurricane Sandy. Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End is the most expensive film ever made. Tangled is the second most expensive film ever made. That means that Tangle cost more to make than James Cameron's Avatar. The character Sid from Toy Story is said to have made an appearance in Toy Story 3. He is the garbage man. Sully from Monsters, Inc. originally had tentacles instead of legs. They were changed because it was thought tentacles would be distracting. The second version of the character was designed with legs but no arms. Boo's real name is Mary. When a 10-year-old girl with cancer was too sick to see Up, Pixar flew an employee to her house with a DVD of the movie. She died 7 hours after her private screening. It would take about 9.4 million balloons to lift Carl's house in Up. Russell from Up is modeled after a Pixar employee. Young Ellie from Up is voiced by the daughter of the director, Ellie Doctor. In a 2003 poll in Empire magazine, Dick Van Dyke's Cockney accent in Mary Poppins came in second in a list of the worst accents. Dick Van Dyke's accent coach during Mary Poppins was Irish, and according to Van Dyke, didn't do an accent any better than I did. The author of the Mary Poppins books was not a fan of the film adaptation of her books. She spent most of the premiere in tears and refused to let Disney adapt the rest of the series, which you can see in the movie Saving Mr. Banks. The first use of animatronics was the robin that whistles a duet with Julie Andrews in Mary Poppins. A series of wires going up her dress were used to animate the bird. Its movements were so realistic that critics were baffled as to how it worked exactly. The word supercalifragilisticexpialidocious actually predates its use in Mary Poppins. The Disney songwriter Robert Sherman, who helped write It's a Small World After All and the Mary Poppins soundtrack, was one of the officers who led the first American troops into Dachau during World War II. Disney's Robin Hood has loads of recycled animation from The Jungle Book, The Aristocats, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and other previous Disney films. Sleeping Beauty was a huge flop in 1959, resulting in massive layoffs at Disney. It was the last Disney princess movie until The Little Mermaid came out 30 years later. The name Mulan uses Mulan uses while disguised as a man, Fa Ping, is a pun on the Chinese term for eye candy. The creator of Peter Pan gave the story's rights to a children's hospital so they could always collect royalties to fund their operations. Oh, that's really nice. The first use of double tracking in music was in Cinderella. Walt Disney asked the singer Eileen Woods if she could sing harmonies to herself. The technique has become a staple in the music industry. The Disney character Wally is named after Walt Disney, Walter Elias Disney. The same guy who designed the iPod, iMac, and iPhone helped design the character Eve from Wall-E. The voice actress behind Lilo in Lilo and Stitch, DeVay Chase, also played Samara in The Ring. The actor who did the voice for Bambi as a young boy, Donnie Donegan, went on to become the youngest drill instructor in Marines history. Technically, Bambi served 3 tours in Vietnam. In an early draft of the Who Framed Roger Rabbit script, Judge Doom was revealed to be the hunter who shot and killed Bambi's mother. Walt Disney received 1 regular Oscar statue and 7 smaller statues when Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs won an honorary Academy Award. The vultures from the Jungle Book were intended to be voiced by the Beatles. Disney planned to produce a wine to market the release of Ratatouille. The California Wine Institute warned them not to advertise alcohol with cartoon characters, and the plan was scrapped. Development of Wreck-It Ralph started in the 1980s. The film was almost called High Score and Joe Jump. Disney actually made several Fix-It Felix Jr. arcade games to promote Wreck-It Ralph. The machines come complete with wear and tear to make it seem as though they were made in the 1980s. The author Aldous Huxley was hired by Disney to write a script for Alice in Wonderland. While Disney rejected the script because he said he could only understand every 3rd word. Disney once hired 11 little people to dress up as Pinocchio and greet children. After being left with an entire day's worth of food and wine, the actors ended up naked and screaming obscenities at the crowd at the film's premiere by mid-afternoon. Technically, alcohol and the resulting hallucinations are what unlock Dumbo's potential in Dumbo. Pocahontas originally had a talking turkey character named Red Feather. He was going to be voiced by John Candy and was scrapped after John Candy's death. Production on DreamWorks' Ants was sped up so that it would release before Pixar's A Bug's Life, after the head of Pixar, John Lasseter, told his friend Jeffrey Katzenberg, the head of DreamWorks, about his film, which had already been in production for years. Pixar's John Lasseter was fired from Disney after pitching The Brave Little Toaster as a film that featured both traditional and computer animation. The Emperor's New Groove was originally a much more serious and dramatic film called Kingdom of the Sun. Over 50 children were hospitalized with salmonella after the release of The Princess and the Frog. They all became ill after kissing frogs. Mark Okrand, who created the Klingon and Vulcan languages for Star Trek, created an entire Atlantean language for Atlantis, the Lost Empire. While making the movie Coco, Disney tried to trademark the phrase Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, celebrated in Mexico for centuries. The trademark also included applications pertaining to toys, cereals, and jewelry. The characters of Timon and Pumbaa were put in the movie The Lion King only because Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella auditioned so well together. They had originally auditioned for the voice role of hyenas, but they turned out to be so funny that Timon and Pumbaa were created especially for them. When Disney released the first trailer for The Lion King, they simply showed the entire Circle of Life opening sequence. Disney felt it was so powerful it worked as a trailer, and the movie went on to set box office records. In 1943, Disney released an animated short called Education for Deaf to teach American children about Nazi life. Hitler was a fan of the Disney animated film The Three Little Pigs and would routinely walk around whistling the song Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf. Most experienced Disney animators chose to work on Pocahontas instead of The Lion King because many at Disney had little faith in the project, leaving mostly first-time animators working on The Lion King. Oliver and Company was the first Disney animated film to include real-world advertised products. More than 30 company logos and brand names were shown in the film. Disney's Dumbo wasn't deformed by his large ears. He was just delivered to the wrong species mother. The circus elephants were Asian elephants. He is an African elephant calf, which is why his ears are so large. Ariel from The Little Mermaid is the only Disney princess to have had a child of her own. Baloo from The Jungle Book is lazy because he's literally supposed to be a sloth bear. In the original story of Peter Pan, the Lost Boys do age, even in Neverland. The reason the group is always made up of children is because if they don't die by other means, which is common, Peter thins them out. The author never clarifies whether this means that they are executed or banished. There is no such character as the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland. It is only the Hatter. He had a mad tea party and the two concepts merged. Disney's movie Mars Needs Moms resulted in an estimated loss of $130,503,621 and is Disney's worst received movie ever. I've never even heard of it. Bambi and Bambi 2 hold the record for the longest gap in between movie sequels, the first being released in 1942, the second being released 64 years later in 2006. The Lion King was originally called King of the Jungle until the Disney team remembered that lions don't live in the jungle. Cinderella is not the real name of the protagonist. Instead, it was an insulting nickname given to her. She was forced to sleep in the ashes, and because of that, she was always covered in dust and dirt. I think that's explained in the movie. The Mary Poppins word supercalifragilisticexpialidocious breaks down into super, which means above, cali, which means beauty, fragilistic, which means delicate, expiali, which means to atone, and docious, which means educable, with the roughly meaning atoning for educability through delicate beauty. I don't know if educable is the right pronunciation of that word. Disney created a short called The Sorcerer's Apprentice to boost Mickey Mouse's fading popularity. As production costs began to mount, they decided to include it as part of a feature film set to classical music. This became the classic Disney film Fantasia. Thousands of families adopted Dalmatian puppies after the release of 101 Dalmatians in 1996. Within a year, there was a 25% increase in Dalmatians at shelters and rescue organizations. Disney's film Song of the South, based on the Uncle Remus books and famous for its Zippity-Doo-Dah song, has never been released in its entirety on home video in the United States due to its offensive racial stereotypes and benign portrayal of ex-slaves and their former masters. I just want to have a quick side note on this one. In Magic Kingdom in Orlando, you have Splash Mountain, and it goes through, I think, the story of Song of the South because it ends with all the characters singing Zippity-Doo-Dah. And I remember I was on it with my colleague and I was like, do you have any idea what movie this is from? Because I know the song, but I don't recognize any of the characters. And I don't know a Disney movie that the song is used in. And she was like, no, I have no idea. So apparently it's called Song of the South, but it's again a movie I'd never heard of. Disney renamed Rapunzel to Tangled and Snow Queen to Frozen because they blamed feminine titles for underperforming box offices. Merida from Brave is the only Disney princess to not have a love interest, sing in the movie, or come from an official Disney film. Disney successfully lobbied Congress to extend the length of copyright protection in order to prevent Mickey Mouse from entering the public domain. The law was later referred to as the Mickey Mouse Protection Act. The creators of Disney's Pixar's Up had the voice actor of Russell, Jordan Nagai, do various physical exercises such as sprinting around the studio room as fast as he could and then stopping immediately in front of the mic to recite his line, producing a more genuine effect of a childlike energy. About 3.4 million copies of the animated Disney movie The Rescuers were recalled in 1999 because it contained 2 frames where there was a naked woman in the background. I love The Little Rescuers. Such an underrated movie. Disney's Aladdin is based off the 1940s 3-times Academy Award-winning film The Thief of Baghdad. November 18th is Mickey Mouse's birthday. Steamboat Willie was released in 1928 and is considered by Disney to be his official birthday. Yeah, mine is November 19th, and I was in Disney when they were celebrating his birthday, so I was really happy. There's an alternate ending to The Lion King where Scar defeats Simba by throwing him off Pride Rock to his apparent death. A fire then consumes Scar, who stands there laughing manically while he burns to death. It was deemed too dark for a Disney film. Mulan is currently the only official member of the Disney Princess franchise who is technically not a legitimate princess in the traditional sense, as she was neither born the daughter of a king or queen, nor does she become a princess consort by marrying a prince. A Bug's Life, WALL-E, Finding Nemo, and Monsters, Inc. were all conceived on a napkin during a lunch. When making The Incredibles, director Brad Bird intentionally used artists who were likely to either quit or be fired from Pixar because he believed only they could create everything that he needed. Before Let It Go was written, Elsa was the main villain in Frozen. However, the song was so uplifting that her character was changed instead of the song. Disney's Big Hero 6 has the biggest cast of any Disney animated film, with 15 main characters and 701 unique characters, which were all animated. The hamster dance song is a sped up version of the intro to the Disney Robin Hood movie. To create cars suitable for animals to drive in Zootopia, Disney enlisted the former head of design at Ford. All of the 90s Disney movies are from a period called the Disney Renaissance, which was considered to have started with The Little Mermaid in 1989 and ended with Tarzan in 1999, wherein Disney made $3.9 billion worldwide. Disney released a movie during World War II called Der Führer's Face, or which depicted Donald Duck having a nightmarish time in the Nazi regime. It is the only Donald Duck film to win an Academy Award. Pixar animators working to finish Toy Story 2 had such a heavy workload that many chose to work long hours even though Pixar discouraged it. Animators developed carpal tunnel syndrome, and one even forgot he had left his baby in the back seat of his car all day. Disney never sought legal action against Escape from Tomorrow, a movie shot illegally inside Disneyland, featuring among other things Disney princesses as prostitutes. In order to avoid giving it extra publicity, the movie ended up only making $171,962 theatrically. In 1985, Disney released Return to Oz, a sequel to The Wizard of Oz. While being more true to the original novels, it was considered not friendly for children. At the beginning of the movie, Dorothy is receiving electroshock therapy. One reviewer said it's bleak, creepy, and occasionally terrifying. The development of the Disney animated film Wreck-It Ralph started in the late 1980s, spanning nearly 3 decades and 4 working titles. Pocahontas was only 11 when she met the 28-year-old John Smith. To help illustrate the hippo ballerina scene in Fantasia, Disney animators hired a 200-pound woman to move about on a soundstage, studying how her flesh quivered and which parts were under the greatest strain.